Sometimes I really enjoy photo editing. I always enjoy the color part of it. Diving into a photo and figuring out what's gonna make it look the best, what kind of colors to add or take away, what kind of saturation and shadows and curves and give it a look and all that good stuff. I really enjoy that part of it. What I don't enjoy, never have enjoyed, is retouching. Whether you're talking about portraits, retouching blemishes, fixing stray hairs, whitening teeth, fixing eyes, all that stuff. I really, really never enjoyed that part of the process. I used to do a lot of portraits, and I kind of stopped, and I think that's partially why, because I just really didn't like that part of it. And you could farm it out and have someone else do it, but then you got to pay for that, and that cuts into your profit, and people don't really pay much for portraits these days, at least not where I live or used to live. So I just kind of stopped doing that. But now there's an app that does all of that for you. It's remarkable, and it doesn't take away the fun part. You can completely do your coloring by hand, or you can apply filters, presets, and so on, or you can use kind of these AI-ish presets where it looks at your photo and tries to figure things out. It's really cool. The software I'm talking about is called Evoto, and I've been playing with it for a while, and at first I didn't quite wrap my head around it, but then I did, and I realized, oh my gosh, what this thing can do. So there's so much in this app. I'm certainly not going to take you through everything. I'm going to take you through some of my top favorite features, the ones that blew me away the most. So that's what we're going to do. And we're starting off with just a very basic tour just so you understand what we're looking at. This actually can work as your full photo organizer. So it does integrate nicely with Lightroom. You can bring in Lightroom libraries and send them back, and there's a whole round tripping thing. Or you could just skip all that and just do it all in here. Now, I haven't loaded 10,000 or 100,000 photos in here, so I don't know how well it'll behave when you get that many pictures, but I've got a bunch of portraits in here that I've shot over the years, and that's what we're going to be working with, and you'll see how it performs. So basically, what you're looking at here is the library. This is just like you would expect for any library. You've got projects that you can make over here and nest them into folders, and down here you can build custom collections, and this shows you where your photos are in the Finder. So pretty straightforward stuff. We're going to start off with this short portrait session. There's just 44 photos in here, but obviously this can extrapolate out to however many you want. And the first thing that I want to do is organizing, culling them, finding the best ones. Some of these, there's a blink, some might be out of focus. Quite frankly, that's probably the most boring part of the job, right? So let's see how Evoto automates all this. Down on the bottom right, there's this start culling, and I've already done it and redone it, so that's why it says restart, but we're gonna just start from scratch. If I click on this little icon here, then it gives me some choices of what am I going to do? What am I asking from this? So first of all, I can tell it what type of shots these are: portraits, headshots, event, wedding, and so on. It just kind of helps the AI engine to figure out how to do things. So this is portraits. How many total best do I want? So I've got 44 pictures. I just want, let's say, 5 best. And there's a lot of other settings in here I don't need to go into, but there's things like closed eyes detection, underexposure detection or overexposure. How sensitive is it to that? Maybe you like to overexpose, and so you turn the sensitivity down on that, but I'll just leave everything at standard here. Even blur detection, cluster detection, that's groups of photos that kind of belong together. And then what do you want it to do with the selected? So you have a bunch of options. I'm just leaving it at the default again. Best picks, it's going to give it a 5-star, and that's it. So I just click on start culling. And okay, I guess it's done. I think the first time I did it, it might have taken like 3 or 4 more seconds than that. I think because I redid it, it went virtually instantly, but it's very, very quick. So you can see here that it has grouped them. So like these portraits here are all basically the same pose. So it's grouped all those, it's picked a best. These are basically the same, so it's grouped those, picked a best, and so on. Down here on the right, I can choose to show just the best picks, so automatically, and there we go. So now actually, let me get out of that real quick. I wanna show you some of the ones that didn't turn out so good. I wanna show you what it does. I'm sure I can find one in here that's blurry. It's gotta be one out of focus. That one's a little bit out of focus. Okay, let's see. So this one's slightly out of focus. You can see that it has shown where the face is, and as I hover over it, there's this tag that comes up that says, okay, the eyes are open, but the face is soft, right? So it knows it. 7 out of 10 on focus. It's not perfectly focused. So it knows it knows what's wrong with that one. Let's find another one. Maybe there's a blink in here. We'll see, that one's a little bit soft as well. Let's see what it says. Yeah, face, soft focus, 7 out of 10. Okay, let me see if I can find a closed eyes one, so you can see how that, well here, this one, maybe it was intentionally closed, but you can see here it says face is blurry, 4 out of 10, and the eyes are closed. So the software is looking at the photos, figuring out what is wrong with them, and tagging it. And then of course you can filter by all of that. But that's pretty slick. So anyway, now that we've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and hide the face tag so that's not in the way. And let's go down and look at the best picks. And these are the ones that it has chosen for me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And actually, curious that it picked this one. If I look at the photo over here, I get the same information that I had on that tag without it hovering over the image. You see it says open eyes, face in focus, 8 out of 10. Yeah, I might disagree with that. So I think it is worth pointing out that by all means, nothing is perfect in here. You do still need to go through these and check them yourself, but that one, yeah, it's a nice pose, but I think it's a little bit too out of focus for my taste. So I'm just gonna take that one out of the picture. Let's just turn off the 5 stars on that. So I'm gonna start with this photo here. And this is the one I'm going to work with, and we'll see what kind of basic editing we can do to this. I'll go into the edit page or the edit tab on here, and let's go to the color adjustments. And I'm just gonna do a basic auto on here just to see what it does. We'll do an auto tone on there. Brings the exposure down a touch. White balance looks pretty good, but we'll do an auto on that. Hasn't really made any changes. And then I can go in and manually do things and adjust the shadows, highlights, and so on. There are quite a few other controls. We can get into color grading where we can do things manually, selective coloring. So this is all of your basic manual color correction type of work. We have all that control if we want it. I just wanted to show you that that does exist if you want it, but we're gonna be using a lot of the automatic and AI-driven work in here. The exposure is basically fixed now, so I'm just gonna leave that as it is. Let's go ahead into the really exciting part of this, which is the portrait retouching. Let's zoom into this a little bit here and start off with the blemish removal. So she clearly has a few blemishes on her face, and I'm going to take this slider that says freckles and acne and just drag that up, and boom, just like that, they're gone. Now I wanna point something out to you. This beauty mark here under her eye and here on her cheek have not been removed. If I take this down, we can see everything, take it back up, and there we go. Now she doesn't have freckles, but if she did, there's a freckle slider here where you can recover the freckles. So if someone's got freckles, you probably don't want to remove those, but you do want to remove the acne. The software does a really good job of separating the two and just removing the parts that you really don't want. And again, you always have that slider to go back and forth to dial in and out the amount of removal that you do. Now there is a face mole removal. So those beauty marks, if I click on this, then those go away as well, just like that. I'd also point out that just like with features like sharpening, there's always overdoing it. You can take any slider and do too much. So usually you want to back off on things a little bit. Taking it up to 100 doesn't always give you the best result. In this case, I think it's actually doing quite good, so I'm going to leave it there. But just keep that in mind. As you play with this, if you drag it all the way up, you're like, oh, that's too much. Well, it's a slider for a reason. Just back it off, just like you would with any other effect. You can see lots of different adjustments in here that she really doesn't need. There's a reduced face shine. Actually, I'll try that and see what that does. She doesn't have a shiny face, but it does, there we go, brings down that highlight just a little bit that was on her forehead and the bridge of her nose. She doesn't have dark circles or bags under her eyes or glasses, and her nostrils are just fine. She certainly doesn't have a double chin or a beard, so we're good with all that. Lots of different wrinkle removals that we can do in here. Again, she doesn't need those, so we're not gonna bother. Let's go down into skin retouching and see if there's some stuff in here I wanna play with. So under skin retouching, you have this evening. So evening or dodging and burning. And the idea is that it's going to even out the tones on her face. So let's go ahead and just see what happens if we bring that up. So that is definitely too much, right? At this point, she's looking very plasticky. So we don't want to even that out too much, but a little bit might actually help. I'm just going to leave it up just a tiny bit there. I don't think she needs any skin softening. Then we get to this skin texture. So what kind of texture do we want on the photo? We want more of a matte texture, a satiny texture, or even this dewy texture that puts a real nice glow on her face. Again, I think that one's too much. The matte is probably good, or just nothing at all. Actually, no, the matte is quite nice. It again takes down a little bit of the sheen on her forehead there. Oh, by the way, I'll point out, you see this Evoto branding on here? This is a watermark until you export it. We'll talk more about pricing and how this all works later, but obviously that's not gonna be there when you export your photo. Then we get down to skin tone, AI Unify Face Complexion. So if we look at her face in here, we'll see a little bit of redness in the bridge of her nose on here that it kind of doesn't really match the rest of the tone on her face. As I drag this slider up, it balances all of that out, and we get a more unified skin tone across her entire face. And of course, just like everything, we can dial that up or down, but taking that up just a little bit takes care of some of that little reddish on the nose there, and it just looks much more balanced and neutral. There's a lot more in here, even facial reshaping and expression changing and so on. We're not going to jump into now, but just these few clicks, just these few things on here have made a remarkable difference for this photo. Now, let's go ahead and take this and synchronize this to the rest of the photos in here. So I've got my 5 selects in here, all of which clearly need some of this work done to them. Even though this one's a little bit blurry, I'm going to go ahead and leave it in anyway. So let's go ahead and select all of these, and then click on sync. Before I do, there's an options of what do I want it to sync. I do want it to change the color adjustments that I may have done in there. I know I haven't done anything to the background. or to the close. So we'll take a look at those things later, but we're just going to sync what we've got. Hit the sync button. It tells me it's already synced. That's it, that's done. And now as we look through these, I'll hold down the space bar to do a before and after, and you can see the remarkable difference for each one of these. So the next photo, before and after, pretty incredible. Absolutely remarkable. Now in this photo, we can see her armpit a bit, and her armpit definitely needs a little bit of cleanup. There is actually a slider for that. It can take a little while to find these because there's so many of them. I actually wish that there was a search at the top so I could just type in armpit and find it. Feature request. Okay, so here is the armpit touch-up. Watch her armpit as I drag this up. I mean, clean up, clean up. Let's go all the way to the top. That might be a little bit too much. We've kind of removed a bit too much of the crease if we go back to the beginning. So we don't want to completely remove it, but there looks pretty darn good. Next, we're going to look at the color adjustment. So you've seen the manual stuff, but let's take a look at the automated coloring and filtering and so on. For this, I'm going to go to a different library. We'll take these pictures of lovely Teresa here. Here, I'm not going to do retouching. I'm just going to play with the colors. So to do that, I will go into the edit page and let's go to the AI tab. Here you have a variety of styles that you can choose from. And you can think of these kind of like a preset adjustment that you might find in another editor, except that these are being selected based off of the type of photo that you've given it. So the AI looks at the photo and is making suggestions in here. Now it's great to be able to go in and find a look that you like, and I actually quite liked that vivid light one. But more importantly, you can train your own AI look. Now this is super, super interesting. Let's say that you are an established wedding photographer, portrait photographer, and you have your unique look. You always deliver your wedding photos in a particular style. People come to you for that style, and you know what it takes, you know your recipe, your presets, and so on to get that look. Well, this software doesn't know that, doesn't know what you like. Now, I could start from scratch and kind of devise that look all over again. However, what you can also do is take a bunch of your pre-existing photos you've already shot and retouched, upload those to train the AI. You just say, my wedding look, give it a name. You choose what type of images, and again, this is just to help train the AI on what you're doing. We go to continue and it says, are these color or black and white? So we'll say color. And then you upload 200 or more photos. Now these are photos again that you've already retouched, that you've already colored. That's what's training the AI. You can give it more than 200. The more you give it, the more accurate it's going to get. But by uploading all of these photos of a consistent look, it will devise a way to recreate that look automatically for you. So huge, huge time saver. Now, I've never been that type of photographer, so I don't have 200 photos that are consistent to train this with, but I just wanted to show you that that is something that you can do. When you find a style that you like, you can increase or decrease the intensity of that effect, and then you can always go in and customize it. So maybe I feel this is a little bit too saturated, so let's take the overall saturation down a little bit. We'll just pull that down just a touch in here. Maybe I want to lift my blacks. I can do this however I want, and then of course save that as a preset so that you can return to that at any time. Next up is color matching. This is a pretty big one. Now, of course, if you have something, again, let's use the wedding as an example, you have some indoor, some outdoor photos, some under one type of lighting, and you go into another room, the lighting's a bit different. You want those to be consistent, you want those to match. I'm gonna take this to the next level and show you photos that really don't look at all alike and just show you what the software can do to make them tie in together. So again, let's go back to my library and I'll choose a different set of photos. And if we look at these photos, you can see these three portraits are very purpley. There's clearly a purple light, kind of very purple magenta look to the whole thing. And then we go to these and it's very yellow. It's got a very warm yellow type of lighting to it. But maybe these photos are going into a magazine spread and they need to look together. They need to look the same or consistent or whatever. So let's see what the software can do. Once again, I'll go into the edit page and I'm going to go into the compare mode. And we'll start with this photo on the right, and then I'll take this one up onto the left. So I want to match from here. I'll go over to the AI style color match, and then click on color match. It thinks about it for a little bit. It imports the reference image. You can see the purple image is being used as the reference, and it matches. That's incredible. Now, this is a completely different color look, but look at how the two look like they belong together. Now, the lips are a little bit too much on here. I'm gonna show you in a minute how we can fix that, but I think this is remarkable. Now, these were shot in kind of the same location that was at the same portrait session, kind of this fun thing that I used to do. But let me take this same reference image and use it on a completely different photo from a totally different environment. So for this, I once again will go back to the main library, and here we go, these photos of Jakari shot in the studio. So this couldn't be more different. Now I'll go back to the edit page and Under the matching, you'll see that I have this purple one down here, that shot that I did earlier. So this now is a stored reference image. And as soon as I select it, it just does that. There are some options. You can see under here, it says color match preference. It's set to extreme right now. I can go to balance. It's going to back that off a little bit. I actually quite like the extreme one, except for the lips. So I'll go down here where it says masking adjustments. Click on this. I'll select what part I want to work on. So I'm going to say the lips. And let's take the color down on the lips. And just like that, we can dial it back. And look, you may or may not like the purple look, but the point is they do look like they belong together now. That is wild. Now, if it can handle this type of a photo, it can easily handle just a normal lighting environment shift. Next up are group photos. Now, we all know, anybody who's ever taken a group photo, whether it's a professional portrait or it's just your friends and family, knows that it is virtually impossible to get everybody to look at the camera and smile at the same time. I don't know why. I really don't. Always, invariably, there's somebody who's like, oh, what's going on over there? The camera's here. But you gotta fix it. It's your job as the photographer to fix it. Now, I don't know how many of you have done facial replacements between images, but it is no fun. However, this makes it super, super easy to do. All right, let's go back into the library. And here's from one of these portrait sessions, we can see there's a group photo. Now, I've got actually a pretty good photo here. Let's go one-to-one on this. And you can see here, she looks good, she looks good, she looks good, she looks good. Her eyes are closed. Of course they are. Let's go to the next photo. These are a little out of focus and she's not looking in the right place anyway. Let's see here. She's looking in the wrong place there. She's looking in the wrong place on that one as well. Okay, she's good. She's good, she's good, she's good. Oh, her eyes are closed again and she's kind of okay, but her eyes are definitely closed. And also she's kind of leaning over. Don't like that one. So I am looking for the best possible starting point. So we go back to the first photo and I think this is the best one minus her face there. Well, let's go over here to the perfect shot button and it's going to analyze the photo, looks at everybody's faces. And there's two options in here, autofix or custom fix. Now the way this works is the software is actually looking at the 7 photos before this one and the 7 photos after it to see if it can find the same person, the same face, the same pose, but that's actually looking at the camera. I could hit the autofix button and it will do the right thing, but let's do the custom because it's kind of more fun. So I go to custom, it shows all 5 faces here and it shows one of them has this little eyes closed icon. So she's the problem, right? She's fine, she's fine, she's fine, she's fine, she's the problem. So I click on her icon. And now I can go through here and I can click on each one. I can try it. I go, okay, that works, that works. That one, that kind of works, but not as much. That one actually works pretty well as well, but she's not smiling. That one's kind of a little bit of a weird face. I think we'll go with the first one here. So we set that, click on save, and it generates a new image that now has those combinations of the faces together, and we've got exactly what we need. It's so cool. All right, so now let's do some retouching on these. The same kind of thing we did before, blemish removal, stray hairs, that sort of thing. But we want to do it to individual faces. So let me show you how this works. Once again, go into the editing and we go to the retouching page. And up here under portrait retouching, you see that I can group. I can grab all the female faces, all the male faces, all the child faces, and so on, elderly female, elderly male, or just all faces, or I can go individual. Now this is where things get really interesting because I can isolate each individual face to work with. So I don't want to do the same corrections on her face that I do on her face, so this allows me to separate them out. So let's go with her to start. Let's do a little bit of blemish removal on her. And she's definitely got some stray hairs. We didn't look at that before. Let's take a look at those now. Stray hair removal, there we go. So we'll drag that up. Let's just take it up all the way. And boom, look at that, all those stray hairs are gone. Now that might be a little bit much in here, so let's just back that off a hair. No pun intended. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, so she's retouched. Let's go up to another face up here. Go to, let's see, she's looking at, she definitely has some stray hairs in there. So we go to her, stray hair removal, and set. She looks like she's got some blemishes. Let's go to her. We'll take the freckles and acne slider all the way up, and she's cleaned up. So again, in a group photo, not only can you combine photos to get the best face possible from everyone in the photos, you can also go in and individually retouch the faces on those photos using the AI. Wow. Next up is a beta feature, but it works so well already that I have to show it to you. This is tattoo removal. Now, I know some people are gonna be like, why would you ever remove a tattoo? Look, I'm not here to tell you whether you should or shouldn't, just showing you the feature because it works so well. All right, let's go back into the library again, and we'll go to this collection of photos of this model here, and you can see that she's got this tattoo on her arm. So looking at these 3 photos right there, it's a date tattooed onto her arm. Okay, let's take care of those. To do that, once again, back into the edit page, under the retouching, under blemish removal, tattoos. It's in beta, but boom, gone. Look at how easy that was. Now that's a really easy tattoo, right? I mean, anybody could go in with the clone tool or the healing brush and fix that. That's easy. Let me show you something that's not so easy. Angela here. Angela is lovely. Angela has a huge tattoo all over her arm and wrist, and let's just say for whatever reason, we need to get rid of it. I don't know why, but we do. So let's go into the edit page, click on that. I mean, how is that even possible? So fast, virtually instant. Incredible. So yeah, if you do need to get rid of those tattoos, if mom doesn't approve of the one, you want to send her some family portraits and you want to get rid of it, there you go. Incredible. Before we get into the last demo, which I think is definitely going to blow you away, let's talk about pricing and how this whole thing works. So the software to download is free. You can do everything that you just saw me do completely for free. What you pay for is exporting the images. So you can retouch 1,000 photos and decide there's only a couple that you really want. That's when you pay. You pay to export. So there's a couple different ways that you can go about that. You can either just buy credits, so you can see the pricing for pay-as-you-go here. So for example, the minimum pack, 49 euros or $49, I think, 200 credits, up to a much bigger pack, 3,600 credits for 459. Or you can do subscriptions. So if I go to the subscription tab, you'll see it's as low as 75 euros or 75 bucks for the year. It says monthly estimated about 6.99, and that gives you 800 credits to use. All the way up to the biggest plan, Standard Plus plan, 24,000. That gives you 24,000 credits for 1,100 a year. So this is obviously determined on how many photos you actually export. Now, if you're just doing this casually, then you would just buy the pay-as-you-go and use them whenever you need them. However, if you're a professional photographer doing weddings, portrait sessions, and so on, I think that the cost benefit of how much time you'll save versus what you're going to pay for the credits here is pretty well worth it. So you figure out what works for your business model, and that's how that works. I have saved the best for last. What I'm going to do next is build a whole new preset using this photo of me in a real world workflow. I do photos of myself for my thumbnails all the time, and of course they all always need to be retouched a bit. And so I'm going to build a preset that I can then use not just on photos that I take, but use in photos that I take through Evoto through tethering. The preset is going to automatically sync to Evoto on my iPad, which is already set up over there with the camera connected, ready to go. So as soon as we're done building the preset, we'll head over there, snap a new portrait, and you'll see those effects automatically applied. I am way, way excited about this. All right, let's dive in. What does this need? Quite a bit, unfortunately. Let's start up at the top. We'll go into the male retouching. By the way, little top tip right here, if you go into individual and you start making changes for the individual, those will not be saved as a preset because those are individual for that photo. So I need to go into the general settings of the male or female or whatever it might be and make the changes here. Which, by the way, this does mean that if I had both males and females in my photo, I could do one set of settings for the females automatically and one set for the males. Wild. All right, over to male, and let's get to work. Freckles and acne, all the way up. Maybe it's a bit much. Let's dial that down a little bit. Looking good. Reduce the face shine. There's always a little bit of that. Dark circles under my eyes. Yeah, well, you know, we're getting there in years. Eye bags, yep, definitely could lighten those up a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy on here, but we are going to take care of the bad stuff. I'm not wearing glasses. My nostrils are fine. Lip wrinkles and flakes, I mean, I think they look fine, but since I'm building a preset and maybe one day I'll step in front of the camera and my lips will be a little bit chapped, may as well build that into the preset, right? Can't see my double chin because of my beard, but we will also protect the beard. Forehead wrinkles. Now this is one I don't want to use. If I take this all the way up, I just look like an egg. So that's not going to work. We're taking that back down. Don't need to get rid of them. I don't have many, but we're going to leave the ones that I have. In fact, I'm going to leave most of these wrinkles in because, you know, this is who I am. Eye wrinkles, take those up. Yeah, see, that's not me. I'm going to leave all those wrinkles in, but hey, you do you. Smile lines, cheek wrinkles, we're leaving all those in. Now, body blemishes. Here's something we didn't look at before. If I go back up to the top here, you'll see that there's one called face mole removal. And if you look at my face in here, let's zoom in a bit closer, you'll see that I've got a few spots on my head that could be removed. So click on face mole removal and they're gone. So before and after, big difference in there. Great. However, that did not take care of the ones here on my neck because that is considered separate. They separate the face from the body. And if I want to get rid of those as well, then I can go down to the body adjustments And let's remove body blemishes. If I take that all the way up, they're all gone. A little bit too smooth on the skin there, so once again, we'll back that off. We just want enough to get rid of the little spots. Looking good. Neck wrinkles, I mean, sure, why not? We could soften that up a little bit, can't we? No armpits, no tattoos, skin retouching, facial skin, even dodge and burn. I mean, it can't hurt to have a little bit. Actually, no, I don't really like that. We'll take that down. Sculpting though, add a little sculpting in there. Yeah, why not? Add a little bit. It definitely can get a little overdone pretty quickly. So once again, it's always about finding the right position. Other smoothing I definitely don't want to do. Skin texture, I can go for this matte texture, satin, or the dewy look, which definitely doesn't work for me. So I'm just going to leave it down here at none. Then a little bit of AI Unify Face Complexion, just to smooth out those colors, the splotches. We'll do the same on the body and then bring the two together. And I think that just looks a little bit nicer in there. If I toggle just that one on and off, you can see it's subtle, but it makes a difference. Not going to facial reshape or change my expression. If my teeth were showing, I could brighten those up a little bit, but they're not, so we'll leave that alone. Eyes is very interesting. Let's brighten up my eyes a little bit. We'll just take that up a little bit and won't take it too far, and that looks a little alien, but let's just, yeah, a little extra pop in the eyes can't hurt, especially on a thumbnail. I think that'll look good. Red eye removal, eye symmetry, so many things I can change. This is pretty exciting, catch lights. So let's go to indoor catch lights. We'll go into 1:1. Now this photo obviously has a catch light. It was shot in a studio environment with a studio light, but if it wasn't and that little white spot wasn't there, I could add one in. You can see the different catch lights that I can add. Let's get a pretty obvious one there. That's a good one. And I can change the intensity of that. You can see that going in and out, and change the positioning of it. Where do I want that catch light to be? Love that. But my photos have a catch light, so I'll leave it alone. Not wearing makeup, don't have any hair. My hands are not in this photo, but often they are. So I will take this and just kind of even the hands out, maybe get rid of some hand veins. I'll just put those on by default so they're there, and I can always dial it back if needed. Next, let's look at the clothing. If I go to the clothing slider, I can fix some of the wrinkles on this shirt. We can see there's some wrinkles in the arms and across the chest on here. If I take de-wrinkle all the way to the top, it is definitely too much because now it looks like that shirt is painted on me. But if we back that off and just give it just a little bit, in fact, let's take that up and take the deep wrinkles down. I want the bigger ones, but I do want to get rid of the fine ones. So there's a pretty good balance there. If I go back and forth, it's just taking those out a little bit. Maybe a little bit too much. Take those out. I like that. And then de-blemish the clothing if there's any spots on there. Now I know on this photo there's one spot on the shirt, which I mean, you could just argue it's supposed to be there, but that spot right there, if I take de-blemish clothing up, it gets rid of stuff like that. Pretty cool. So if you spilled some ketchup on your shirt at lunch, then maybe this will actually look better now. And finally, clothing edge smoothing. Look at the edges of my shirt. You can see around the shoulders here, it's kind of puffing out a little bit, especially on this side where there's the big wrinkle. If I take clothing edge smoothing all the way up, it completely smooths that out, which again, I think is too much. So I'll just back off on that a little bit and find a little happy medium. And if I toggle that on and off, then you can see how that is changing. Next adjustment to make is to the backdrop itself. Now this is shot on a white seamless backdrop, but it wasn't lit separately, so it's just kind of there. And if you look at the bottom of the photo, you'll see that the white seamless did not extend all the way down, or there's just something behind me. I don't know what that is, but it shouldn't be there. So we can do a few different things. We can remove the distractions, and boom, that thing down at the bottom is gone. I'll clean the backdrop because, hey, who doesn't want a clean backdrop? And look at what it's done. There is a sensor spot there and here, both gone now. I can unify the lighting on the backdrop, just make it a bit smoother, and actually that looks pretty good. Yeah, I'll leave that on, I like it. I can even remove or replace the background entirely. So this being a thumbnail photo, quite often what I need to do is this. I need that transparent image to drop on something else. In this case though, I'm not going to take that out, I'll leave it as it is, but I do want to show you that I can simply swap out the background with a variety of backgrounds in here. But we're gonna go ahead and reset that and get it back to my original background. All right, I think that's enough for the background. The last thing that I want to do to this preset is add some color to it. This is just kind of straight out of camera right now. We could definitely use a little bit of coloring. So let's go up to the AI color palette and I'm going to just see what these presets look like. Neutral, vivid light, pure love. Now you'll notice by the way that all of the retouching that I've done is gone at this stage. It is just gone for the preview, so it makes the preview faster. And then of course, once I leave here, that'll all come back. That's actually kind of good. Vibrant warmth, maybe dial it down a little bit. And let's take the exposure up just a touch because that has kind of darkened it a little too much. Let's go back to the portrait retouching and see the full result. I like it. It might be a little strong, but it's a thumbnail. It's going to be small. We can get away with it. All right, now let's save this as a preset. To do that, I click on Save Preset, give it a name. We're going to call it PJ Thumb version 5 because I made a few before this. This is going into a group called Thumbnails. I can create my own groups of presets, and I can choose here what I want to save in this preset. So I can disable things if I want to. If I go to the adjusted, then I'll see everything that's been adjusted. So all of those will get added to it. Click on Save, and that's all there is to it. This is now syncing through Evoto's cloud over to my iPad. So next step is just to plug in the camera and take a picture. All right, I've got my iPad here, my Lumix S12 E already plugged in, and that right there is pretty remarkable. The fact that this supports Lumix cameras, love that. Go into Tethered Shooting, give the project a name, and you can see it's already connected. I can see my camera settings. I can't adjust the camera settings. I don't know if you can on other camera brands. With the Lumix, I can't, but hey, the fact that Lumix is supported in here on its own is amazing. Love that. Now, before I take my first picture, which I can do from the app, by the way, I'm going to scroll down and take a look at what I want this to do when I take a picture. Capture effect settings. Do I want it to sync with previous? So I could just take a photo and then make some adjustments, and then the next photo would sync the previous adjustments. Or do I want to apply a preset? Preset, select presets. There's my thumbnails group. There's PJ Thumb version 5, the one that we just made, and I'm ready to go. So that's it. Now all I got to do is take the picture. So I guess I'll just go take the picture. Hi. All right, looking at that photo, you can see a few things. You can see that there's this pole in the background. You can see part of the light is in the background. You can see that it's all fixed, just like that. It just fixed everything. Yeah, look at that retouching, all done. Tap and hold to preview the original before and after. Yeah, this might be a little bit strong for this, but again, it's for a thumbnail, so I think we can get away with being a little bit over retouched. But check that out, the background is gone. I mean, how good is that? The simple fact that we can do tethered shooting to an iPad, or obviously to your computer or to your desktop, have those adjustments applied automatically, and then when I'm ready to go, I just tap on this export button in the top right, choose where it's going to go, and set that as a JPEG file, and away we go. That's it. Now there is one more little feature that I want to show you in here, and that is eyeglasses glare removal. This works remarkably well too. Now I don't wear glasses, but my buddy Adnan does, so come on in here, get into this frame, you're up. Straight into the camera, chin down just a hair, and snap. Here we go. You can see the glare very clearly on his eyes, so we'll let the preset run. Now remember, the preset doesn't have eyeglass glare removal on it yet, so we'll need to add that in. So looking great, background's cleaned up, he's looking sharp, but there's that glare. So to fix that, I'll go back into the portraits. Under the eyes, you'll see remove glasses glare, also in beta, which means this is gonna get even better. But look at that. I mean, that is pretty great. You wanna take it down just a little bit, take it out completely, we can. And again, a beta feature, so it's just gonna get better. All right, get out of here, Adnan. I gotta finish this up. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This software, as you might have been able to tell through this demo, really blew me away. It's remarkable how easy it is, how good it is. Yes, you can crank everything up to too much and it will all look fake, but of course that is up to you how much of that you're going to dial in. And you can take manual control over all of it at any point as well. I'm totally in love with this software. Make sure you check out the link down below to learn more about it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.